Hello everybody and welcome to yet again another crafting video. Now we're going to get into the gathering professions like we talked about in the previous video. So in this video, we're going to talk about the three basic gathering professions that you're going to use in order to craft, obviously. The first one we're going to talk about is skinning, because I'm currently on there right now, but we are going to hit every single profession, regardless of whether or not I actually have it spec'd or not. The first thing we're going to talk about is the profession, the specializations, the profession itself. We're going to talk about it in the journal real quick. There's various skinning, as you could see, but you will set and learn different skills based on that skinning in particular. So as you can see here, there are 6 hides that you can become more experienced in throughout skinning, as well as various other miscellaneous things like curious hides, a random piece, and saturated bone, a random piece. But there is something I want to talk about specifically, which is elusive creature bait. You learn this by learning Bait Crafter. It's actually the very first thing you get, which is you place them outdoors in the Dragon Isles to lure elusive creatures, which tend to be rather rewarding. So it's very important to keep this in mind, because this is how you get some of the rarer hides, like Fell Infused Hide or the Blue Dragon Scales. Very important that you keep it in mind where you're doing it, when you're doing it, and you're not around other people, because I'm pretty certain people could steal it. So the very first thing within the skinning profession that we're going to talk about within the specialization is the tanning. The tanning basically increases your base skill while scanning specific things, increasing your deftness, learning more scent finesse, as well as improving on how to harvest more hides from gray quality to tier 2 quality, then finally into tier 3 quality. Keep in mind that, again, all tanning, mining, and herb, they all have baseline improvements from tier 1 to tier 3. It is ideal that you continue to push your refining at the very beginning in order to maximize the amount of rewards you can get. Harvesting gives you about the same exact sort of thing, however, it doesn't change the quality of it, but it instead increases the amount that you get. Harvesting, again, self-explanatory. The more you have in harvesting, the more you're going to get. But the more you have in tanning, the better stuff you're going to get, basically. And it's ideal that you do this because you could turn all of your hides and make it into something more professional, being your tier 3 hide to make a tier 3 armor piece. Then let's go into the Bait Crafter. As we already talked about, you get the ability to throw down a piece of bait and attract some elusive creatures that allow you to go ahead and continue to get extremely experienced hides. Then there's also, at the max quality of this, the amount of cooldown refunded from your elusive creature bait through skinning is doubled when skinning elite and rare creatures. This means that if you're out in the wild and you're killing some rares or you're killing elites, you skin them and it resets your Bait Crafter. It's very important when this happens, because this allows you to go back out and continue to gather your elusive hides that allow you to get some very good stuff. Bottle phenomena. Bottled pheromones is another big thing. You know how as soon as Pandaland was released, monks came out with the ability called the Ox Statue. The Ox Statue made it to where everything attacked the Ox Statue and you could attack them in turn. Now you literally have something the exact same thing. This is the bottled pheromones, which lures all creatures to you if they are unoccupied, if they are skinnable beasts and dragonkin. So this is very good for skinners, because this then puts everything onto you, so that way you can skin it. And if you're running, say, armor spikes, you get the immediate tag as soon as they attack you, because armor spikes works like thorns, and they get hit back when you get attacked. So it's very important to keep that in mind. That's really about it for skinning, though. Your utility is going to come, your profession tool for all 3 gathering professions will actually come from blacksmithing. But you are able to make your durable pack as well as your skinner's cap strictly from leatherworking. So leatherworking will allow you to make your skinning profession better, on top of profession tool coming from blacksmith. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you want a knife, you make the knife. Next, let's go into herbalism. Herbalism is much like mining, actually. After some quick inspections about the skill itself, Gerbalism. Herbalism actually has an ability called Mastering the Elements. Now, this Mastering the Elements allows you to cast a spell called Overload Elemental. As you can see here by this spell that I just dragged off my cast bar, Overload Elemental Herb, which allows an overload a nearby elemental herb. The cooldown of this ability is reduced whenever you're gathering herbs in the Dragon Isles. So what exactly is overloading an herb? Well, as you can see here, you could study the incarnates. Hang on, that's not the spell. Allowing an ability to channel elemental charged herbs for unique bonuses and effects. So these unique bonuses and effects are basically, maybe you'll get some aroused air, or you'll get some earth motes or something like that. Any very small little things, but keep in mind, the more you plug into this bad boy, the more you're going to end up getting some more finesse. As you can see here, you can get some more elemental essence from more elemental charged herbs if you're at rank 40. But within the specializations, you can actually see that all of these will allow you to harvest things in a more proficient manner. So for example, Windswept increases the knowledge of herbs that allow you to properly prepare, and then they push you back by 50%. While Windswept herbs will also grant you slow fall. Basically, this buffs you based on whatever herbs you're looking for in particular, and gives you a short buff. That basically increases the amount of everything that you'll get. So you'll also get some arcane gates from the arcane herbs. So this is more of a little bit of a fun thing for mastering the elements. I still think getting the baseline of mastering the elements is pretty good, at least for herb and mining. The skinning one is practically mandatory. Then we can go into bountiful herbs. It's pretty much the same as we talked about at the very beginning. While you get more herbs and gather them further, you can learn how to refine herbs into tier 2 and then into tier 3 herbs. Again, I say this with utmost certainty that you need to have max level in bountiful herbs, the baseline, because this increases the max gathering of all refining of herbs. Then you can go into specific herbs itself and make it to where you could increase it based on whatever herbs you're looking for in particular. So say if I'm on a tune that wants more sacrifice, I would spec into the sacrifice tree. Or say if I wanted something that needed more horticulture, which is actually... Why is this like that? Hochenbloom is the name of this herb, but for some reason they use horticulture as the name. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's the first letter of everything. Arboriculture, say you wanted more wither bark, then you would actually spec into more wither bark, and a fungal culture, you get more bubble poppy. So bountiful herbs is basically full on harvesting, while on the other hand, botany is straight up gathering and deftness. So deftness and finesse is basically the amount of each at which you could gather, and how proficiently and quickly you can gather them as well. If you go up to the max that you have your mastery, you can actually gather herbs while mounted. This deletes the whole entire purpose of having the Mechanostrider, like lumber extractor. The mechanical lumber extractor is basically deleted if you go into max botany. So this allows you to gather herbs while on the back of your dragon. Very, very important, because if you have max speed in your crafting, bam, it's going to get kicked up and picked up instantly. Also, helps you find extra rarities. So rare herbs, they're here, all right? You have to pay attention to them, but they are here. And that's kind of it, actually. Herbalism, not really that difficult. Very easily straightforward. It's the same thing as mining in reality. So now we will go into mining. Now this is obviously a personal favorite, because if you're from Wrath or Burning Crusade, the first thought about mining is you get that extra stamina bonus. And that's why I've still kept mining on my main for all of human existence, because even though the buff doesn't exist anymore, I like to imagine it is. I like to imagine it's still there. So your mining outfit, I don't know where the outfit itself comes from, but I assume it could be... Actually, I have blacksmithing right here. Let's see. Nope, it's from leatherworking. You can make your pickaxe, though, from blacksmithing, so there is that. But blacksmithing is basically, and still, the ability to refine ores. As you can see here with refinement, you could see this baseline ore, and you could turn it into a tier 2 ore. However, it takes 5 ore, and you make 1 tier 2 ore. So keep that in mind when you're mining out there, or you're herbing or anything like that. That recipe that says you could refine your browns into silvers and your silvers into golds, keep in mind that's a huge net loss. So that's why I still tell people to spec into anything that increases the strength and the strength of the ore that you mine in particular, as in like the quality or the herb or whatever of that sort. Mastering the elements, pretty much the same exact thing as herbalism, gives you random buffs based on whatever ores you manage to find. So very straightforward. Mastering the elements, very fun perk. Like you've got nothing else to spec in, you might as well throw some specs into it. But in my opinion, you have to make sure that you have everything humanly possible to ensure that you are mining at your best capability. Now, it looks like, at least for mining, that there is not actually a way to mine higher quality ore. It looks like regardless of what you do, you will always be gathering ore based on whatever your tools are at. Yeah, it looks like that's the case. So mining is definitely one of the harder ones to sort of get around. But as the same with herbalism, you go max into your mining processes, and right off the get-go, you can mine while you're on the back of your dragon. So again, this is huge for collector toons that are based around solely collecting things. Skinning, I imagine, had the same exact thing, but we just didn't look into it. But the problem is with skinning is that most of the time you're in combat killing the creature and then you skin it. So what's the benefit there? Mining does seem like it's going to be the hardest of them all. So that's not exactly great. But at the end of the day, you still have your 3 specializations, your mining processes, which increases the industrialization of your ores, basically allows you to grab extra ores. This one as well for surveying, the improved deposit finding while gaining 1 perception, and then the increased ability to extract primary ores from deposits. Primary ores being volcanic ore, bloodstone, that kind of stuff. No, that's not actually the name of the item, though, obviously. Just keep that in mind. That's definitely not the name of the item. It does seem like mining will still be the hardest of all of the gathering professions, which is quite unfortunate because a lot of people do like to do mining and herb. It might be time for people to look at considering skinning an herb. But surprisingly enough, this video is actually shorter than the other video. Again, you can get your mining tool from blacksmithing, and then your accessories most likely from... Well, it looks like you can get the bags from engineering. I imagine you get, like, the outfit from tailoring. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the secondary set of professions video. So, I hope you enjoyed the gathering overlook of the whole entire thing. I'm not a fan of how mining seems to be the most difficult out of the 3. But still, at the end of the day, we are in beta, and we only have another month, I think, right? A month? November 25th, I think they said it was, or something like that. Anyway, November 15th, keep in mind, is when the Drakthir themselves are playable. So you will be able to play that toon when it comes out. But between now and then, it is still just spooky queues and leveling up alternate toons, as well as the pre-patch coming in 3 days. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this crafting video. And yeah, that's it, actually. Man, I had a good intro for the outro for the first video, and this one I don't. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed. We have more World of Warcraft videos coming up for the next couple of days, so don't go far. We're probably going to cover alchemy tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Or we'll see you next time for some more World of Warcraft actions. Party Petey, signing off.